project. So in this short video, I'll be talking about the officially announced version 3.5 Phase 1 weapon banner, which will include Dehya's signature weapon, the debut of the Beacon of the Reed Sea Claymore, and the rerun of Cyno's signature weapon, the Staff of the Scarlet Sands. So I don't own the Staff of the Scarlet Sands, as you may know if you've been following me. I had a second or extra Primordial Jade Wing Spear, so I gave that to Cyno, and I didn't really bother going for his weapon. Although it looks cool on him, and it's a really great passive for, I believe it's elemental elemental mastery and attack damage boost, basically, and all of that. So, I mean, it's a great weapon, and lots of players also felt that it could be useful for other characters as well, but it was obviously specifically designed for Cyno, and I felt that it was still niche. So it's a crit rate substat. I have it up in front of me. Not on the screen, but in front of on my computer screen so I can see. Not on the video screen though. And yeah, they're going to gain Elemental Mastery as bonus attack. Yes, exactly. So that's basically all that it is. And it's kind of universal in that way because at least it's a crit rate substat. People didn't like the design of it. It's kind of growing on me, but yeah, I felt that it was kind of niche as well because not all the polearm users, if we just quickly go to switch this out to polearm characters, not all of them need an Elemental Mastery, like Zhongli doesn't because he's Geo, right? And then like Shenhe, it doesn't really need, like, they have other options. Definitely you can make it work. You know, for example, you could give it to a Hu Tao for some reason if you didn't have anything else better to give her, or Xiao. But, you know, like characters like Raiden Shogun and Xiangling need energy recharge instead, and Shenhe needs attack actually. So, not necessarily crit, right? You know, and then these 4-star characters, a lot of them are supportive characters. They don't need the crit rate, right? So that's why it was very niche in that sense. So it was really specifically designed for Cyno, and I don't think that it's worth pulling for. It's just my recommendation. But of course, if you love Cyno or you're a Cyno main and you want to now get his like weapon, I think this is a great banner to try because at least if you don't get that, you can then go for Dehya's claymore weapon. So that brings me to Dehya. So I'm going to just quickly sort this again, and maybe this is a good screen to use, just so we can see which kind of other Claymore characters are there. So now I know that many players will be skipping Dehya, myself included. I will be skipping her. She will be available on the standard banner, but people are saying that, you know, she may not be the highest damage, or she doesn't add anything new to the game, which I feel is more of the reason for myself. She may not provide very much elemental reactions, and may not be easy or consistent or frequent to proc those, so that's my thing. And then I don't really like the I don't personally like the hand-to-hand combat kind of style, like Razor does that too, and I forget who else, but there's a few characters that do that, and I don't really personally like it. Like a Hazo does it, but at least Hazo does it kind of fluidly. But like, yeah, Hazo does that, and oh, I guess Cyno does it in his ult. Yeah, so I don't really like that, but that's just a personal preference, right? So anyway, speaking of that, let's just talk about the Beacon of the Reed Sea. So that weapon will be a crit substat as well. It's all the information is already released, of course, and it will be a crit rate substat, and the damage bonus will be, for the attack, will be increased by 20% once you proc your elemental skill, and another 20% if the character takes damage. And if you do not use a shield, or the character is not shielded, the one using it, then they get a 32% bonus for their HP. This is talking about R1. And so, I don't know, like, when it comes to shielding, like, I know Dehya's kit has that whole aspect of her taking damage as a tank for other characters, so that's why it makes sense for her there, so she has more HP so she doesn't die so easily, I guess, right? But I don't think that other Claymore users currently, at least currently, need the HP bonus, or that you wouldn't use them with a shield. Like, for example, Ito on the screen here, like, he doesn't need HP, but he's a Geo character, so he'll create those crystallized shards, right, when it creates a reaction, so he'll automatically get shielded, so he won't get the bonus, right? And then, like, Eula's more of a physical character, so, you know, like, these characters can use it for the crit rate substat, but I don't think that they're gonna fully maximize all the passives. But yeah, I mean, it's nice to get it when you proc your skill and like 20% attack, and then you get another 20% just for getting hit or damaged. So that's those two are fine on its own. But you want to maximize the last little bit of it, then yeah, the last skill, the last part of the passive of it, getting the HP bonus is kind of weird. I mean, Diluc, yeah, that could work too, because he damages himself, I believe, in his rotation, right? So possibly because he gets the pyro status, right? So then that could work for him. But again, like these characters have been out for a while, like Ito, Eula, and Daeluke included, and you know you probably would have given them other weapons already, right? And then similarly, like you know Noelle does, she's Geo and she does shielding as well. And then these other like Beidou does shielding as well, right? And not many people play with Chongyun anymore, but Chongyun is more like a support DPS or one that you just kind of swap out, right? Beidou shields herself into her ult, right? So I don't know that it's the best fit. Razor could use it too, possibly. You know, like it's actually quite universal in that way. At least the Beacon of the Reed Sea is more universal, in my opinion, than Cyno Staff of the Scarlet Sands. If you had to pick one of the two, if you had to pick a path for wishing, but I don't think that it's necessary either because there are other you know, claymores out there already. Like you might have gone extra Wolf's Gravestone, which I talked about would be a great weapon for Dehya if you're actually going for that for her, right? Or you may have gone other Skyward Prides for your support DPS or sub DPS claymore users, or maybe you got an Unforged. But the Unforged doesn't work with Dehya specifically, and I talked about that too in my previous videos, because she doesn't need shielding, and this gets a bonus for getting shielded, so it's kind of not going to work for her, right? But you know, there's so many other claymores out there, and I already talked about Dehya weapon options, so check that out. But yeah, anyway, just to sum that part up, the Reed Sea and the Beacon, the Beacon of the Reed Sea and the Scarlet Sands staff, neither of them are like must-have weapons, but they're nice to have, that's for sure. Okay, moving along. On the 4-star weapon side, let's just quickly go through this. So we have, since we're already on the Claymore, it's going to be the Sacrificial Greatsword. This is going to be a good supporting weapon. I've used it on a couple of characters in the past. I previously had it on my Beidou, then I got the Skyward Pride, so I gave that to her instead. But I had that on her. I also had this on Chongyun before, but then I gave him the Akuomaru instead, right? So this is pretty universal and pretty good. This could work on like a Sayu or a supportive character, like even maybe perhaps Dory if you have nothing better, but Dory works well with the bell actually for the HP. So you know this is okay. It's not like a must-have. Let's move along then. So from the Catalyst side, let me quickly. Oops. Okay, so from the Catalyst side, it's going to be the Eye of Perception, which I actually don't have one here. It's not a great weapon because it's a 50-50 chance of proccing the bonus damage, I believe, and that's why it's not a good weapon. So I need consistency, and that's why I always spotter that, so I don't have it. And then from the polearm side, we have the Dragon's Bane. Just quickly put that up on the screen at least. So then it's specifically more for Hydro or Pyro teams or characters, and it's an elemental mastery. It's good for Shangling and for Hu Tao, but it's not their best, but it works for them, but it's not their best, right? It's again not a must-have weapon. Moving along quickly to bows, we have the Mondstadt Limited series, the Alley Hunter. So this has been around for a while, and I previously had extra copies of this. I think maybe one, maybe even two, way back when it first debuted, and then I foddered them because they're not that great. The passive is on the screen, but basically, you know, like this is more for off-field bow characters. And when we talk about off-field bow characters, really there aren't that many that comes to mind. Cole can throw off her little like poleamber like thing, right? And of course Amber has her Baron Bunny, right? But not many other characters can throw things off field. Like, I mean, Diona can throw off her healing circle and then you can swap her out, sure. Goro can put his little, you know, Geo AoE down, perhaps, and Fischl can put out her Oz, of course. But other than that, like, it's not like you have to, you know, get this weapon for these characters. But this works well if you were to level this up or get that at higher refines. This could work for like a Fischl. I can see that, right? Fischl has an official weapon as well, by the way, but then they're not like must-have weapons, okay? And then the last one is the Alley Flash, which is a sword from the same series as this. I actually don't have it, so I don't need to switch the screen here. But that sword is not a really good weapon in my opinion either. I don't know what they were thinking, not being offensive here, but I just don't know what they were thinking when they made this Mondstadt Limited series. I think they were trying to be experimental, but I mean that weapon is an elemental mastery substat weapon, and that weapon has a very simple passive. It's like one line. It says increasing damage dealt by the character equipping this weapon by 12% at R1. And taking damage will disable this effect for 5 seconds. So I don't really know. It's kind of a risk and reward situation. Maybe you have to make sure that the character is shielded when they use the Alley Flash. I may have had one way back when it first debuted, and I foddered it as well because it wasn't a great weapon. Yeah, I mean, there are better weapons out there. Especially when it comes to elemental mastery swords nowadays. Like, if we go to the sword section, just to bring that up, like, after Kazuha's story event, we have this Tokabu Shigure. This is an elemental mastery weapon, obviously. We have, of course, the Z-Force's Moonlight, which was a limited series Sumeru weapon, which is a better elemental mastery weapon than the Alley Flash. But of course, Alley Flash is not horrible. If you get it, you should maybe keep it, and then it's an option at the very least, right? And of course, we have the craftable Iron Sting. So we're not like hurting for like elemental mastery weapons nowadays, right? But back then, maybe we didn't have as many options. We only had the Freedom Sword, right, and the Iron Sting. So the Alley Flash was there. But yeah, anyway, so that's just my summary of the weapons for the weapon banner. Just to quickly conclude here, I don't recommend pulling on the banner unless you really, really want the 2 5-star weapons. At the very least, they're both in the same series, and they both can be usable on a variety of characters. With the exception of Dehya's Beacon, it may not proc that HP passive if you plan to shield your unit using it, but at the very least, it's an option to have because that one is pretty universal if you don't shield that character, whoever you're using it on. And I guess cyno, I was going to say Xiao, but cyno's weapon is also pretty universal technically, but again, I just want to make it clear that they're not must-have weapons though. They're not so universal like for example the Staff of Homa or the Aqua Simulacra, or things like that where you can put them on any character and it's very straightforward, right? Those ones kind of just seem a little more like specific because again with Cyno Staff it requires elemental mastery to be converted to attack damage bonus, so not all characters are going to have that or have high elemental mastery or be built that way, right? I mean, Dehya's weapon's more universal, but again you have to make sure that your character's not shielded if you want that HP bonus. If you don't, then at least it's a stat stick for the extra damage for the other things. But if your character's shielded, you won't take damage as often either, so you won't get that other 20%. So there's give and take there. Anyway, I'm going to keep this video as short as possible, so those are my thoughts on the weapon banner. Are you guys pulling for the Dehya weapon, the Beacon of the Reed Sea, or the Cyno weapon, the Staff of the Scarlet Sands, or are you going to try to go for any of the 4-star weapons? Let me know what you guys think in the comments below, and I will see you guys in the next video. Thank you.